Welcome back. We continue live right here on Pittsburgh CW. It's the nightly sports call on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Bordas and Bordas fighting for justice. Bob Pompeani, Gene Collier. Gene, we have a tweet right off the bat. Benjamin Pagani says, Penn State, Ohio State thoughts. Can Ohio State defense hold down Penn State's offense? What do you think?
Well, Ohio State's very difficult to beat there. Oklahoma managed it. But I think Penn State will have a hard time there. Penn State is really, really talented team, of course, with the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. You know what? I'm going to watch that. I think it's so interesting I might watch it. Yeah,
I'm going to love that game, and I think Penn State right now, you know, it's a tough stretch. They had Michigan. They took care of them. Right. At Ohio State, at Michigan State. And you're right, Columbus is a tough place to play. And Ohio State, like they did last year, you know, suffered an early loss, bounced back, got into the playoff. This game will carry a lot of credibility with regard to that. We'll see how it happens. But Saquon Barkley is the Offensive Player of the Week in the Big Ten. And good news for Darren Hall of Pitt. He is the ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 254 yards. Yeah, so they got to win, and they needed one very badly. All right, let's go out to Brad in Punxsutawney. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Hey, good, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime.
I tell you what really jumped out at me yesterday watching the Steeler game is that the defense has definitely gotten younger, and when those guys are healthy, and you got Shazier and Dupree on the field and Watt, I mean, they're putting all kinds of pressure all over the place. And honestly, I mean, we'll have to wait and see where things are in December with how, you know, the seedings and everything go. But I almost see a defense that is made to potentially go up to Foxborough and give that Patriot offense, if they have to go there,
hopefully they'll come
all
here.
Kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
Hopefully the game's in Pittsburgh, though.
Right.
But I really was impressed with the defense and when those guys are on the field. But I'm going to just hang up and listen to what you guys have to say.
All right, Brad, thanks. Always good to get to the land of Phil, the groundhog. We appreciate that, Brad. I've been bullish on their defense all year as long as they stay healthy. And yesterday they played Gene without Stephon Tuitt. When he's in there, that's another disturber up front. They got players everywhere. Joe Hayden just goes about his business. Nobody really throws in his direction. There's good reason for that. So that's as good a defense. When I look at it speed-wise, I don't think Mike Tomlin's had as fast of a defense as he's had since he's been here.
Yeah, that might be right. I mean, and they're really a fast-improving secondary to go with a defensive line that's been kind of up and down, but they're certainly talented. I think, you know, the best point the caller makes is that, you know, you have Dupree on the field, you have T.J. Watt on the field, Shazier on the field. The key there is they're on the field. Those three guys, you know, are in and out of the lineup. So it all depends on where they are physically in December. I think it's, you know, too early to look at that yet.
Yeah, and you can see what one injury does. And when you lose quarterbacks, you know, Green Bay loses Aaron Rodgers. To see what happens to their chances. Arizona. And then, Gene, look what's happening. Yeah, Arizona, Carson Palmer. And now look what's happening in Indianapolis without luck all year. Right. I mean, you need a quarterback, and he better be healthy at the right time of the year. Let's go out to Mark in Ambridge. Hey, Mark, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Gene. Thanks for taking my call. Man, I got to get something off of mine. I go to every Steelers game, okay? Last year, Bob, we went to the AFC Championship game with a mediocre defense and no Martavis Bryant. Here's what I want to know. No matter what happens in Detroit Sunday, we're in first place. Why, with the bye week coming up, don't they get rid of Martavis Bryant's a cancer in this team. Trade him, get rid of him, and we know we can do without him. And I just want to know your opinion and Gene's opinion on why they would tolerate this behavior.
All right, Gene, you can go first, and I'll give you my opinion after Gene.
Well, I thought Ray Fittipaldi made a really good point in his chat today that he would hang on to Martavis Bryant just so that someone else doesn't pick him up. But I mean, for my money, I agree with the caller. I would rid myself of this. This just goes to show you how talented the guy is, that the Steelers are willing to put up with this for year after year, really. That's how much they think of him. And really, he's the difference between them. You know, he's why they're not getting 30, 35, 40 points a game, because he has not returned to the form he exhibited when he was healthy.
Exactly right. However, I would not trade him for two reasons. Number one, I always worry that somebody's going to get injured. If Antonio Brown goes down with an injury and you don't have Martavis Bryant, now I think you have slim pickings. And you talk about doubling down on guys like Smith-Schuster or anyone else you want to choose. It's more difficult. So I would never do that. Number one, or two, as Gene said, you're not going to get all that much for him right now. You got a guy who's one pot smoking incident away from being out of the league, plus this. So I would just try to work with him and try to make him grow up as best as I can. I thought he was going to have a really big year, Gene. I don't know about you, but I thought because of what he went through all of last season, he stayed out of trouble. He seemed to be motivated, and I figured this was going to be his wake-up call. And so far, it just hasn't been.
No, it's hard to come back after an entire missed season, especially when you're that young, I think. But, yeah, he's just not been the player he was.
Bell Vernon, next destination, Bert from Bell Vernon. Hey, Bert.
Hi, Bob. Gene, thanks. Yeah, my comment is also about Martavis Bryant. From what I've seen of him, he seems to be a little muscle-bound and stiff, not the same receiver he was before the suspension. I would like to hear about him doing some extra stretching and maybe skipping some rope instead of all this stuff about Twitter and social media. If he would maybe get himself back into the type of shape he was in before the suspension, I think he would be doing better all around.
I think what you hit on there is good, Gene. More than anything else, why go on social media to air your complaints? If he had not done it, hypothetically, last week, no trade talk, this week, nothing, girlfriend doesn't tweet, we don't even know about this, nor do we care, because he's there and, you know, you may look at his performance and say it's not what it should be, but he's getting better, whatever. This social media is self-inflicted stuff. I don't understand why guys got to do it.
Can you imagine being 23 years old and not doing it, what your life would be like?
I know, I tweet a lot, so I'm guilty.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
You tweet a lot.
I guess.
But I mean, if you had, let me say, if you had a problem with the Post-Gazette, you weren't going to take it publicly. I wouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, look, young people have to figure out, you know, how to control themselves and how to manage themselves. And everyone does it, not just football players, with varying degrees of success. Martavis has had very little success in that area. He continues to have none.
Joey in Salzburg joins us right now. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Bob. I had a question for you and Gene. I heard today that the NFL isn't going to suspend Burfict, and you had just said he might be fine. How much longer do you think the league finally puts up with Burfict and just says, bye, we're tired of this, we're tired of you injuring everybody, and you basic? Because I saw that one of the Viking safeties today was suspended a game for injuring players himself, but right. Burfict injures everybody and like a number of people every season, and he always gets away with it.
I think, you know, I don't know, you may be going down that road here with him. Thanks for the call, Joey, but I think, number one, I was surprised they didn't call that. That Fisher was looking right at it, Gene. Did you see him? He was right on top of the play. He had to have seen the kick, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I think if there's a player in the league that should be thrown out of the league, it's Burfict, but what is the mechanism for that? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Look, you can never play in this league again. I mean, that doesn't happen, does it? No. I mean, it takes something, you know, and guys get suspended all the time, and if you do it again, you get a longer suspension, whatever. But, you know, I think a lot of people would like him out of the league. I just wish he's a very talented player. I understand why Cincinnati wants him, because he's very good on their run defense generally. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, just like people may be asking about Martavis Bryant, Gene, is it better just to move on? Who knows? Yeah, I would like to see him out of the league. He's out there to hurt people. That's his main thing. We got Jim, we got Brad, we got AJ, and Alinda all coming up next. We'll take a break. Back with more on Pittsburgh CW.